Print, Kente, and GTP. I think multimedia should take it up. I don't see you guys in Kente.
We do in Ghana month. I guess we should return.
No, it should be regular.
Okay.
It should be a routine, and tourism minister must now whip all of us
in line.
Fall in line.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
The marketing lead for Pensive Global Consultancy. At Pensive Global Consultancy, we uncover stories with market research, transform raw numbers into powerful insights with our Collectify brand. We put organizations up there with our business intelligence solutions and equip professionals with our professional trainings. We will be at the SME Fair happening on the 31st of October to November 2nd. Try and visit our stand. We'll be expecting you. We are located at East Legon on the American House Boundary Road on the last floor of Adelaide House. You can visit our social handles at Pensive Global Consultancy on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. On our website, pensiveglobalconsultancy.com, or contact us on 050-179-1312 or 050-179-1317. Pensive Global Consultancy, research-based, data-driven.
Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior. Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
Today, the law meets the facts, and the facts demand accountability. The minority says it is blocking the CJ vetting. But is it a constitutional stand or just bluffing in the face of political inevitability? The micro-minority? The special prosecutor presses forward 125 million Ghana cedis allegedly lost. Colonel Foriata and 5 others have been named. Is this the beginning of justice or the makings of a reputational war? And as Parliament debates sweeping amendments, a complete overhaul of the Cybersecurity Act, we ask, is this Spybill reloaded? Is it an upgrade for digital safety or a license for unchecked surveillance? So, from vetting to prosecution to digital control, the stakes are high and the contradictions louder than ever. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. Here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first, but this is where Ghana holds power to account. Remember, the things you do on the digital space could get you into jail for between 3-5 years. You could be paying about 60,000, the very minimum, or up to 300,000 Ghana cedis. We'll be right back to deal with the vex matters.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes, and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm
the second coming.
Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
You go be the luckiest, copy from your job be luckiest, from not the because she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest, everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame! Send your God up boom! If you're poor, what's that?
so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey! Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Pardon me, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, simple direction. Mr. Goodluck no check me well. Yeah, man.
Easy cry. Or dial *712#. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
How much birthday?
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompts, yes. And then boom, confirmation test.
I'm quick. Pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
*712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle them.
You see how they love you now?
Yo, do you have family payment seminar? Before December, may release a motivational album. Patapa, Mayesu.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
From across Africa, they come with dreams. At Academic City, they find purpose.
Studying biomedical engineering has opened my mind to a world of innovation. As a parent, seeing my daughter thrive at ACT gives me peace of mind.
ACT didn't just teach me skills, it gave me the confidence to lead change.
A world-class faculty, hands-on learning, a campus that inspires bold thinking. Join a community building Africa's future today. Academic City University, educating future-ready leaders.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. And here is something at stake. The pendulum of convenience. The nation wrecking soul-depressing revelations in the Auditor General's forensic audit on the NSS scandal remind us that grand corruption is not abstract. It is real. It is documented. And it is devastating. The oral and OSP briefings allege that hundreds of millions have been stolen by a few, very few. That's not just thefts. It's a direct assault on the future of entire communities. It is the theft of schools, theft of hospitals, roads, and hope. If these narratives are held in faithful judicial proceedings, it would mean that just a few individuals stole more than the $3 billion we borrowed from the IMF to keep our economy from total collapse just a couple of years ago. Imagine that. In a country where for a decade, $3 billion was lost to corruption every year, and over 70 billion has been stolen or misused in just the last 5 years. I say over 70, it's actually far more if you put the special audits that the Auditor General does from time to time in addition to the annual audits. It should be running into 80, 100 billion Ghana cedis in the last 5 years, stolen or misused. The recoveries must be as swift as the prosecutions, and the sanctions must be heftily deterring. Let me repeat this education. The Auditor General's reports are authoritatively sacred unless successfully impeached. Rewind that in your head. Those of you party people who are defending and saying Auditor General's report is nothing. Rewind that in your head. That the Auditor General's reports are authoritatively sacred unless successfully impeached. I'm yet to hear any one of them impeach the report so far. That is why surcharges and disallowances flow from them. That is why consequences, not commentary, must follow them. Now, when the Attorney General and the Special Prosecutor hold press conferences before filing charges, some shout, lawless. But let's be clear, such briefings are not only globally recognized, they are essential anti-corruption tools. They educate the public, signal institutional resolve, and build trust in the justice process. What matters is not whether they happen, but how. So yes, we can debate the legal and ethical boundaries, but they must definitely happen. Especially in a country where grand corruption that enriches a few while impoverishing the majority has been normalized. Check the Afrobarometer reports from 2019. Yet here lies our real problem. The partisan pendulum swings with no shame. The same voices that made a song and dance of the Woyomi case for political advantage, deserving political advantage, because that NDC government was corrupt. They now preach presumption of innocence with fervor. Back then, public commentary on pending cases wasn't just tolerated, it was weaponized, and very well done by Akufo-Addo to win power. Today, those who dismissed legal injunctions or legal objections in the Opuni and Afoko trials as obstructionists now demand due process. Guess what? And those who cried foul back then now applaud. They celebrate the unanimous rejection of Edubuahin's appeal without pausing to examine the very same legal arguments they once championed. So I say, it is not justice they seek. It is convenience cloaked in conviction. It is the selective embrace of legality tailored to political appetites. The law becomes a tool not for truth, but for triumph. What was once vilified as delay is now sanctioned as diligence. What was once hailed as finality is now recast as fragility. We must resist this erosion of principle and consistency by these partisan lots. Justice demands more than partisan memory. It demands integrity, especially when the facts are inconvenient and the stakes are high. So yes, let the prosecutors speak to the people who put them in that office. Let the Auditor General's report stand, and let the law apply without fear, favor, or faction. And that is my take. We'll be right back to deal with the vexed matters.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
The Goober Awards has always been more than a celebration. For years, we have honored excellence across the African diaspora. This year, 2025, we take it further with a chartered flight straight from Accra to Bridgetown. From the 9th to the 13th of November for the Goober Trade and Investment Conference and Awards Night. There will be 9 panel sessions, private roundtables, and investment-ready site visits, all designed to build lasting connections and open new opportunities. Goober Barbados. This is where Africa and the Caribbean come together to connect, build, and to renew. A true reclaiming of our Atlantic destiny. Join us. Secure your seat at GooberAwards.com
or call 024-515-6705 or 059-738-5229.
Goober Awards 2025. Connect, build, renew.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You're so sorry. Would you match sorry? Oh, what am I doing? You was a thing. What the cat never won. You get catch it. Hey! Now I'm pipe.
Between the pie and carbon.
Hey, madam, pipe menu.
Hey, Syntax pipe. Me tono, omo catch am say no dem pa. Say ye fie, say ye foam. The other pipe we bia e ye ne gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why leaky?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No 2 ways.
When you know, pipe ben abe use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In the carry water. No hala.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes, and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303-966-085 or 055-278-4097. Think wood, think Fernart.
These shoes are too big for me.
Oh, this one, by Christmas, it will fit, Pepe.
Planning ahead?
It's in the DNA of Ghanaians.
But this has your name on it.
One day it will be yours.
Thinking beyond today has always been a part of us.
But Dad, the water is flowing.
And what if it stops tomorrow?
As Ghanaians, we prepared not just for now, but for what's next. And that's why for 20 years, we've provided life insurance solutions for every aspect of your future. Star Life Assurance, your solid partner for life.
Part of our democratic dispensation is that anybody who is aggrieved by any administrative body, whether it's a constitutional body, executive or parliamentary body, has a right to proceed to courts. And it's important that we give meaning and effect to these provisions that are in the Constitution. Not to say that the parliament is not independent. The judiciary and parliament are both independent but coordinate in status. And in order not to, cause a lot of confusion, our own standing orders provide that when there are matters still pending in courts, Parliament should hesitate in considering those matters on the plenary. And I think that this is one of such instances where Parliament must tarry a while for the processes to be completed at the judiciary before we can proceed. Yeah.
So that's our very first issue we are going to canvass for you, and hoping that we can be as brief as possible about it. My guest this morning, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, is Democracy and Development Fellow, CDD Ghana, and Project Director at the Democracy Project. Prof, thank you very much for making time to join us, sir. Yes, Doc, I didn't hear you. Please unmute your mic.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Great, great, great. And my apologies. How did I forget your book launch?
Well, you just have to buy one copy at a very good price, and I'll forgive you.
So, in this book, you are saying John Rama has done what?
I'm saying that he's on a quest for, in my opinion, a quest for redemption. The redemption partially has come with the victory in the 2024 election. But I think the redemption would be complete based on what happens at the end of his second presidency. And I end on a note of saying, I hope good things happen.
All right. So where is this book? Where can we find it?
So you can find it on Amazon. In Accra, you can find it at Blue Knight Bookshop. They have a location at Spentex Road, and then they have one at East Legon around American House.
The choice of the title, tell us about that briefly. I know I just took you completely surprised.
Yes, you did. So after his first presidency, there was talk about whether he would run for office again or not. And in announcing his 2020 run for the presidency, he used the phrase, part of this is also to right the wrongs of the past. And so when I look at some of the challenges that he faced during his first presidency, but also public opinion starting to change, but not change fast enough before the 2016 election, I base that by saying, well, if you look at the 2020 run and the 2024 run, that it was that continuous search for redemption. Redemption meaning there was a narrative that resulted in his loss in 2016. And part of that journey up until 2024 was to see how that narrative could be changed, in my opinion.
Right. So you have just been listening to Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, and I've just asked about his book, his latest book. And you know his books are data-driven. Afrobarometer is It's his baby, sort of. And the book is titled John Mahama, Reflections on His First Presidency and the Quest for Redemption. John Mahama, Reflections on His First Presidency and the Quest for Redemption. It's just been launched. Look for it and enjoy it along with all of us. So, thank you. So he is first on the list this morning as a panel. Suleimana Brahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Fourth Estate. People are causing a lot of trouble in this country, eh?
I think we are doing what we have to do.
Everywhere, Fourth Estate. And you are bringing down what they say. You are bringing down indigenous companies that are doing it well. This story about SML leading to this investigation that the OSP now shows us that it is saving us 1.4 billion and then seeking to recover 125 million. This is your doing.
Well, I mean,
contracts for sale. You got the president terminate somebody's, appointment. You got their accounts frozen. You are getting people's homes being taken away from them. All sorts of things. And you are pursuing NSS. Why did I almost forget that? Because of you guys, or say SCB, give to your worry. I don't think they have even gotten bail yet. They got bail, but it doesn't look like they have fulfilled the bail conditions because the sums are hefty.
Well, I mean, that's sad on their part. But I think as citizens, our first duty should be defending the country and making sure that resources that belong to the country are available for the development of the country and for the benefit of all. And that's all that we are trying to do. We don't seek to bring people down. I think we'll be the first to support any indigenous company that is doing credible business. But we wouldn't overlook or turn a blind eye to companies that are signing fleecing deals in the name of protecting indigenous companies. I think that is something that we will not do.
But are you not getting to a point where it may be unsustainable? And look, even when things are public, I still need to post the caveat. I'm their lawyer. You get sued left, right, center, and the suits are costly. Even if they are, as we call them, slaps, they are nuisance suits. They still cost you.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's the case. For every major story we've done, it's come with a suit. SML, we are in court. I mean, they've sued us. National Service, Nana B has sued us. Forest
National Service, their first suit failed.
Yes, their first suit failed. You. Then Nana B sued. Forest Invasion. There's an MP who is in court against us. And recently KGL. There's someone in court against us. I think at the end of the day,
you even entered Dagheward Mills' church.
Oh yes, and
he
we have
sued you.
Yeah, I think that one.
His lawyer joins us.
Yeah, we got sued multiple times, including a suit in London.
Yeah.
That eventually we dealt with. So at the end of the day, if we are doing the right things, it's always difficult to do the right thing. If it were easy, I'm sure everyone would have been doing it. Mm. And I think that is why perhaps we don't have as many media houses being able to stand up to do it.
This morning I saw on your page you were Fourth Estate, you were seeking donations. Please tell us how we can donate.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you go on the website, you can either contribute through Paystack, or there's a mobile number that has been advertised, or you can donate via bank account, or you can walk to the office and say, well, you want to contribute.
Which is the website?
What we are doing. You can either go to mfwa.org or go to the fourthestate.gh or go to Fact Check Ghana. On all these platforms, it's one and the same organization.
Right.
Make a contribution.
Thank you. Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communications of the New Patriotic Party. He takes no prisoners. Yes. So now, the micro-minority, they are doing wonders, eh? They want to stop the CJ's vetting.
Like the Fourth Estate, they are focused.
Right.
They are doing what they are supposed to do to advance our democracy.
I think that they need support, perhaps not donations, but they need support of all of us. Because really what they're doing is adding to our democracy, enriching it, because if you have such majorities, the NDC has. If you don't have a determined
super majority, they can do anything.
They can do whatever they want, And I think one of the issues we're going to talk about, this cybersecurity amendments that they are bringing, is terrible. It's terrible. That's what you can get when you have a tyrannical majority in parliament, in a democracy. You're losing it, really. So the minority actually needs all of our support. In fact, the government must see what role they're playing to ensure that the infrastructure of democracy is preserved.
We need a very vibrant minority.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we're in trouble.
Yes.
Right.
And this morning, I just want to give a serious shout out to the minority leader and the entire leadership and the parliamentary members or the members of parliament of the minorities. I want to give them the exact support that I can. And I think that we need to canvass more support for them. Because
you have some figures in there who are doing quite a great job.
And incidentally, it's strange. Normally it was parliament, so every, see the NDC bench. And exactly. It's just sometimes just a few that actually lead the charge. But unfortunately, this time, because of the numbers, every single one of them is focused. And I think that they deserve great commendation.
And that's right. And people have been saying they have been majoring on some minor things and doing things that don't help, their rebound, so to speak, bring them back. But you should listen to some of their commentary. And I must confess, I listened to Reverend Tim Fojo when this soldier who went beating this attendant and the lady. And there was a question that sought to generalize that this is what the army has become known for. And even though he's in the minority, he's critical of the government. He said, no, this is isolated. And he poured plaudits on the Ghana army as a very responsible army. I
think we all agree with that position. Absolutely.
Yes. So Dr. Sharif Mahmood Khalid, economic advisor to the Vice President. Thanks for being here. Kweku Yamwa Pencil is lawyer and head of Pencil and Co. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. I didn't have anything to ask you or tease you around. Don't worry. Let's have a discussion. So let's begin with Dr. Saikapong. You heard Hassan Tampuli lead the charge there. Justice Paul Bafuboni has been nominated by the president. He's the acting Chief Justice now, and he's supposed to be vetted. And the minority have begun a petition to block the vetting. Do you understand what they are doing? Are they huffing, puffing, bluffing? Are they serious?
Well, good morning once again. Good morning to everyone in the studio and the other panelists on Zoom. If you listen to the case that they are making, in principle, I can understand why they are taking that approach, which is there are still unresolved. Yes, the determination has been made. The committee has made its findings. The president has acted in consultation with the Council of State, and the CJ has been removed. The acting CJ has now been nominated for the substantive role of CJ, which now requires a vetting before Parliament. But if I understand the minority correctly, there are still legal processes that have been instituted or initiated against the entire process that needs resolution before a vetting can proceed. In principle, I can understand that, right? That to go ahead with the vetting may seem to suggest that you know what the court is going to decide with these cases. Now, we also don't know. I mean, we don't know what the court will say or not say about this. But I think when we are talking about the entire governance environment, and letting institutions work the way they are designed to work. For me, it doesn't, quote unquote, spoil anything if you let those judicial processes takes its course before you do the vetting, so that in a way you are sort of not prejudicing what you think the court would say or not say, or what you think the court would do.
You want them to speak when the stable's doors have been shut?
Say that again, Samson.
You want them to speak when it is too late, to act when it is too late?
In terms of the courts to act when it is too late?
Yes, they are taking a preemptive strike. You are saying, oh, it's okay to just relax and let the vetting go on and then let the court processes go on. Is that what I understood you to say?
No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't spoil anything to put the vetting on hold and allow the court processes to come to a finality, so that you don't sort of prejudice what you think the court would do or not do. That is my position on the minorities.
But the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo has been removed.
Correct.
So what's standing in the way of a replacement?
Well, yes, she's been removed. There's an acting in place, and what I'm saying is that transitioning the acting into a substantive role is running into this issue where the minority is saying, well, there are court processes against that removal. Can we wait for those court processes to be fully resolved before we move ahead with the vetting? In principle, I don't think there's anything wrong with a position like that, because proceeding then would sort of assume that you know what the court would say or how the court is going to rule on the substantive matter before them. And I would want to sort of avoid that kind of prejudice thinking with regards to what you think the court would do or not do. I'm not one to read motive into the things that people do, but do I also believe that there's an element of politics around this? Yes, because of the minority's position again on this entire removal process, that I believe part of it also has to do with extension of that grievance. But when you put the politics as well as the principled issue of let the courts resolve all of this fully before we move ahead with the vetting, I can see why they would take that kind of position.
Kweku Pinto, where do you stand on this? Do you support the minority's point of view? Hello, Mr. Pinto. Can you unmute your mic? Okay. We can't seem to hear Kweku Pinto, so we'll move on. When he's in a good place, we can get back to him. Yes. So, Richard.
Yeah.
Why must governance stop because one CJ is challenging her removal?
Good morning. To our viewers. I don't think that there's a vacuum so much to say that there must be a stop in discharge of justice in our country because nominated Chief Justice is also the acting Chief Justice. Justice Bafobon is acting Chief Justice. So we don't have a vacuum that should hurry us up to field. Even
but acting and substantive are not the same.
Well, but then he's doing the job. He's not inhibited in any way from doing the job. If anything at all, we should be in a hurry to appoint a defense minister, right? Which we haven't appointed, but yet we are busy trying to replace a situation that is effectively covered since April. My thing is, I agree with the minority. I operate with some three key understanding of democracy. One of them, cardinal objective, is to uphold human rights and freedoms of citizens, because the conceptual understanding of democracy is that we, the people, have agreed to cede our power to a government to act on our behalf. And so therefore, power belongs to us, the people. And our expectation is that government will organize itself in a way that that power protects us, grants us the freedom that we want, but cannot provide for ourselves individually. And so in that collective machinery, it tries to grant us that space. Important in upholding human rights and freedoms is equality before the law. Chief Justice Tokono has been treated in a manner I feel that is wrong. One, we have talked about the political nature of her removal, and I can submit to you that the removal of the Chief Justice was not about the law. It's about the long-arm grab of the judiciary by this president and his party. It is not designed to promote any law or to fight any corruption or perceive abuse of office. It is to grab control of the judiciary. That's what it is. And so they have achieved that. And the evidence, something you are seeing, you go to the court today, every matter that is brought is dispensed to it. It's just thrown out. She has a case before the Supreme Court. She has, I think she still has a case.
But first, you are saying that it is the president that sponsored the petitioners. The petitioner who had a petition with about 25 or more grounds, witnesses that came from a good number of them, that came from the judiciary themselves. Members, staff of the judiciary or former staff, is the president who put them together so they can remove the Chief Justice. This was a grand plan. That's what you're saying.
Well, you are the lawyer, but I don't have the details to actually make that point. But the appearance of the whole process gives indication of all of that. So you can anybody can fill in the blanks where this thing started and where it's ending. I have listened to the minority leader who is giving a certain account, which is very chilling, to say that there was an indication of continuing the hearing, where the two outstanding petitioners were supposed to be heard. Their petitions were supposed to be heard. But somehow, the process was truncated and a decision was given, and the president hurriedly adhered to that decision. What about the outstanding two petitioners? Why didn't we hear from them? You understand? So
he actually indicts the panel, that 146 committee. He indicts them. He says what they did was shameful, among other things.
Yes, yes. I mean, if indeed what he said, and I'm repeating here, if that's the case, I mean, you're a lawyer. I mean, like, fair. Give the opportunity for the cases to be heard. What's the hurry? It's not as if, what are we running up to?
This petition was heard to the end. The Chief Justice called. The Chief Justice called over a dozen witnesses. Head to the end. You're saying that the committee members...
A lot of irregularities.
The judges who sat on the Supreme Court judges who were there either don't know their law, or they too, they acted as, they are not independent. The other members of the committee, also all of them were compromised. Is that what you guys are saying?
I won't go as far as to say that, but there is a demonstrable evidence of acquiescence. Okay, wherever pressure is coming from for people to acquiesce one way or the other, I don't know. But you can see it. Where there is a hearing that they are not thorough with it, where the individual, the respondent in the case, has a litany of concerns, she's raised them before them, and they have not been able to address it.
Really?
Oh, yes. I mean, didn't you see her press conference? All the concerns she's raised, if those are anything to go by, that process is not regular. It's not. So we shouldn't mince words when we're talking about it, because, see, it's very important. Now, I think when people say that the president has become a supreme leader, I don't think they are too far off, because right now what you have, he has his own, Chief Justice that they are trying to promote through Parliament. When that happens, essentially he has control. Now, if government has been able to touch the Chief Justice, an equally strong arm, independent arm of government, right, then everybody in the judiciary should be on high alert.
Did you indict the similar committee that remove Charlotte Osei the way you are doing this committee?
Well, I don't know. I have my personal view about that. If I had my way, institutions need to be strengthened. They will make errors, make mistakes. They need to be strengthened. We'll build up. That's my fundamental belief in democracy. We're not perfect. Institutions need to grow. And so I think that that's a different conversation to be had. Now, and then also, one thing that we need to underline, I don't put them quite on the same level. Given the infrastructure for democracy, you are looking at a substructure compared to the judiciary, you know, seeing what role they play to keep the whole structure together. So I think that is a major disturbance if you are touching the judiciary, the head of the judiciary compared to the Electoral Commission. But I have my own view, quite different from the approach, but that is history now. But you see, I also want to just advise and perhaps appeal, that's probably a better way, that the Speaker, he's a seasoned parliamentarian. He's a statesman, he's most respected. And I think that in this moment, he should lead and say that there is no hurry. Let's see the finality of all these cases, and then let's move on. But until that is done, any effort now to just push this thing through, I think that would leave bad taste in the mouth of everyone.
Let me go to Sule beginning on this point. Do you think the Speaker can yield to this call and hope to survive the Parliament?
Well, I think we are seeing the benefits of democracy in full display, where different opinions are being expressed and people with certain constitutional and democratic rights are exercising them. So in Parliament, I think what the minority is doing, of course, is part of the democratic process. And I agree with my brother when he says that what is happening would contribute to the resilience of our democracy. As we speak now, we don't have a substantive CJ. The president has a responsibility. Once the committee was set up and the committee's recommendations were made, and the president decided that, well, he's going to act, or the Constitution actually binds the president to act on the basis of the recommendations of the committee. And once those decisions were made, I mean, as we sit now, Justice Gertrude Tokonu is a former CJ. She is no longer the CJ. And I think that it would be quite negligent on the part of the president to say that even though there is no CJ, I'm not going to roll out the process to have a substantive CJ in place. And I would wonder why Parliament would say, well, even though we don't have a substantive CJ, the president, who has the constitutional mandate to nominate a CJ, has done so, but because, you know, there are processes in court, even though those processes were there, you know, some of those processes were there even before the president acted, we are going to yield to a demand that we should hold on to the processes until decisions are made.
Your point is that after her removal, before her removal, there were suits that were pending.
Yes.
Of course, she sought injunctions. She didn't succeed. There were some suits that she didn't mount herself. The Asefua suit is still pending. The one that went to the ECOWAS court by herself is also pending. And yes, the injunctions that those others sought failed. But after her removal, she instituted another process in the High Court.
After her removal?
Yes. Mm-hmm. She instituted another process in the High Court, and she's asking for three things. That the Poaman Committee's proceedings and recommendations should be quashed. That the president's warrant, which he issued on the back of that, the recommendations, should also be quashed, thrown away. And that there should be a prohibition against the appointment of a new CJ. Her salaries and benefits should also be restored. So they are saying this is a substantive suit. even though in the suit, she doesn't say, restore me. She says, restore my salaries and quash every other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. What's the hurry?
No, I think, so that is why when you were reading, I reiterated the point that after her removal. And I believe, even though I'm not a lawyer, that these processes that she's mounted could have been mounted by anyone at all. To say that I am, based on my own understanding and review, I am demanding that the Justice Poaman Committee's report should be quashed, the President's action should be, quashed, and, the benefits and salaries of the former CJ must be reinstated. And for me, I don't have a problem with that. Whether it's a process that she's initiated herself or someone else feels, well, what had happened amounted to injustice and therefore the person decided to go to court. But I don't think that should stop us from having a substantive CJ. I agree with my brother. The role of the judiciary is so critical. And I get worried. That's why I get worried when people in politics decide to put out narratives that would further undermine, the independence, the reputation, the public perception of our judiciary. Because a lot of the things that, my brother was talking about did happen under the MPP regime. Would it have been right for us to conclude that President Akufo-Addo actually appointed 2 chief justices or so? 3, actually, if I'm not mistaken. The first one was Justice Akufu, then Nini Yeboah, and then the last one was this. Are we saying those were her CJs, as she would put it, as Mahama nominating Justice Bafuboni as being his CJ?
Those CJs came to their terminal end.
Naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you look at even the appointment of Justice Tokonu, people would say, oh, they were seniors, they were this, they were that. The fact that those were jumped, would it be right for anyone to then conclude that, okay, that was Akufo-Addo's CJ?
For a long time now, the seniority rule has not been followed.
Mm-hmm.
So presidents appoint among the judges on the bench without saying you are the most senior, so you become. No. Even though the law says, in the absence of the Chief Justice, the next most senior assumes.
Yes, I agree with you, but I'm saying that with all that, I don't think that it gives cause for us to say, oh, the president's CJ. And that is why I think you were right when you asked about the case of Charlotte versus G. Mensah. Would it have been right for us to say that G. Mensah has been chosen as President Akufo-Addo's, his choice or his electoral commissioner? I think the processes are the same, even though you say, well, in terms of ranking, you wouldn't put the Supreme Court at the same level as the Electoral Commission. But if you look at the role that the Electoral Commission plays, the commission determines who becomes president, virtually, even though people would go, Ghanaians do, but ultimately the responsibility, because if you are taking it that way, you would say, in terms of decisions that are made by the courts, it is not the people, it's the law. The Supreme Court justices interpret the Constitution, and so yes, Ghanaians would make the determination, but why would
Chief
people...
Justice is not head of Supreme Court.
Yes.
He's head of the judiciary.
Yes.
That is an arm of government.
Yes.
The EC is an independent constitutional body. It's not an arm of government.
Yes, but in terms of removal processes, Samson, it's the same, isn't it?
That's correct.
It is the same. So if it was done, and we feel...
Almost the same.
Almost the same.
Even remunerations and conditions of service are almost...
So if it was done...
Almost the same.
I think it's High Court. It
was done. I believe at that time, people had issues with the way Charlotte was removed and all of that. Yes, but as a country, I think we have to move on. ECOWAS courts. I think that from what I know of the ECOWAS court processes, we've used it a couple of times. We are looking at maybe the next 2 years or 3 years. Are we going to say that, okay, let's let it hang until that happens? We saw the case of Domelevo. People filed a case at the Supreme Court. Eventually the Supreme Court actually made a decision that, indicated that the decision that was made by the president was absolutely wrong. But it had happened. So I honestly don't think that the speaker is going to yield to this request, and I don't think that it should be yielded to. But as I said, we are seeing the benefits of democracy in full display, and I fully support that.
Prof.
Samson, this is a very vexed subject.
You're in a hurry. Why?
No. And I'm avoiding today not to say it's a ridiculous bucket list, but if you look at the release acts, I'm going to look
when
at
I said you are in a hurry, I didn't mean you.
Yeah.
I mean your government.
No, we're not, well, in a hurry to deliver for the good people of Ghana. If that is, we are in a hurry.
There's an acting in place.
Yeah, if that is.
Things can go on.
Yeah, so, I mean, acting, but acting have limitations. You are a lawyer. You can't do certain things beyond the acting capacity that you have. Oh. And for the first time, I think that seniority rule is working. And for me, I don't envy President Mahama from where he sits in all of this, because you have internal party people. I mean, every party has its hawks, its moderates, saying that, okay, well, at the bench, we probably have people aligned to the NDC, why don't you make them CJ? But you see that in this very process and in the election or in the nomination of the current Chief Justice, due process, the conventions, right, the seniority rule and all of that has been followed. Right, so this is where you
don't tout that too quickly, because he has barely 2 years or so, and he'll be gone. Then you cannot guarantee that the next who take over
still not guaranteeing
will be the most senior.
But I'm speaking within the
context. You're talking about restoration of precedent.
But I am talking about that within the context of what President Mahama is doing, right from this petition all the way through. He has followed due process, been patient enough, etc., etc. Look, I'm going to look at it from the remedies perspective, the petitioner's perspective, and the office of CJ. I think one point in all this critical conversation and national discourse that we've been having that we all miss is who the petitioner is. And I think that's very important, Samson. Why do I say it's very important? I have followed from a corporate governance perspective, I've followed the work of Daniel Ofori quite a lot, right? He is a serial paper activist. And I'm not saying this in the wrong sense, but I'm saying in the positive sense. This is a man who would invest in a PLC, it's a listed company, get into the boardroom and fight for the right thing to be done. And that's what I'm referring to it by saying he's a serial paper activist. So if such a man petitions and you take it very frivolous, you should see the weight of Daniel's investments and work and activism within boardrooms. This is a man. I mean, those of us who've been around, I know I'm not too old, but I know Whitechapel, one of the leading apparel chains around the country. He is the founder of Whitechapel. He's got investments in Guinness Ghana. He's got investments in Ghana Commercial GCB Bank. He's got holdings in the Republic Bank. He's got holdings in Farm Milk Limited. He's got holdings in Guinness Ghana, etc., etc. So if such a man, a colossal in terms of business investments and activism in the corporate boardroom, goes to petition against a constitutional office holder, you don't take it lightly. And we don't make it a political subject for discussion. That's why I bring in the element or the factor of Daniel Ofori, the petitioner. Now, let's talk about the reliefs. One says that you should squash the Puaman Committee's proceedings and recommendations. I don't know how to describe this relief or remedy that is being asked for. Right? Constitutional process is followed, due process is followed. A senior justice of the apex court is put to chair a committee, right? And an ex-chief justice comes to say or asks for such a relief. That's quite interesting. And I want to ask what her perspective is for the bench as we speak now. Because, I mean, this request is quite an interesting one. To say squash the president's removal warrant. The president followed constitutional process. He did not sit in his house or home and issued that. Right? He deferred to the Council of State. Every rule he was patient with. And at the time this was happening, he was serving jurisdiction. She should have been sent on a gardening leave. But she wasn't on a gardening leave. She was still moving around town, holding press conferences with even close security protections. In certain jurisdictions, they would have withdrawn all of these services while this was ongoing. But it was allowed. Tells you the persona the president and his team are and the sort of research agenda we've put in motion to reset in Ghana. You move on to that. You said prohibit appointment of a new CJ. Come on. You are a lawyer. Imagine the country running for just a year, not 2 years, without a chief justice. Or a substantive chief justice. Where will we be? An independent arm of government. And an ex-CJ is asking for this relief? Then she finally comes to an interesting one that I thought that the lawyer she is for all these years in high standing and the chief justice she has become should have been the strongest point for negotiating, which is what? Restore salaries and benefits. If I were her in these negotiations as it was going on, she sounded as though the salaries issue was minute, very peripheral to this issue. She didn't need it. Now this case is at this level, you are bringing that in.
What's wrong?
Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. He can go there, but after poisoning the well, right, how do you go back to the negotiation table even with this? Remember that when you're asking for restoration of such issues.
And you remember the last time we had this discussion?
Yeah.
I got good support from Oliver Bakavomawo.
Yes.
Who sent a caution to all of you.
Yeah.
Who were attacking the integrity and competence of the CJ and her lawyers.
Yeah.
As far as the nature of what she has filed and the reliefs are concerned.
Yeah.
And some have said that this is wrong, this is not what she should have filed.
Yeah.
And Oliver says, this is exactly what she should file. And Oliver sent a caution to the judiciary that it shouldn't be seen to be pandering to the government and take their time and deal with this, you know, in a way that sanitizes our system.
Samson.
Wait, when you say the nature of the reliefs, quash, and so on, and you use that as an attack, let me tell you this.
Yeah.
A judicial review, which is what she's seeking, the reliefs that automatically flow from a judicial review are quashing orders.
That's not a problem. I'm not attacking that at all.
Right.
What I'm contextualizing.
But you say that processes were done that were sacrosanct.
Yeah. No, well,
the processes are concluded.
Well,
the person affected has the right to go to a court and say, I am aggrieved. Interrogate this.
Samson.
What's wrong with that?
Samson, holding the clause or hiding under the banner of judicial review does not give you a free will to ask for squash, even if that's the language and diction to be used. Right? We're talking about, I mean, look at what he's asking, removal of the warrant.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that is not even an attack on the president's decision. It is an attack on the Constitution. Asking for that.
See, the judicial review process, if you read the rules, it will say, bring up that particular warrant so that it will be quashed. So they are using the terms
for purposes of education. Is there a precedent of anyone that has been to court to question the legitimacy or otherwise, or the effect, right, of such the use due process of a constitutional order?
The very first time that Article 146 was invoked in the Fourth Republic, the person involved was Dr. Emmanuel Jacob Opong. He questioned it in the Supreme Court. So yes,
no, it is not questioning. I'm asking in the release in the forms of which they have.
He questioned it. I'm just
questioning.
So there is precedent.
Yeah, so there's precedence in questioning.
Even if there's no precedent, there will always be.
There will always be. So I'm talking. So within the context of public education and critical discourse, that's what we're having. I'm not attacking. I mean, someone who's been a lawyer for 30 years, regardless of what it rise to become CJ, from where I sit, I need to respect that. But that does not mean there should be a free will to patrol and do whatever you're doing in terms of sticking things around. You all know. I mean, you are a lawyer. When you go with your clients, you sign a litany of release, knowing that you just need one to stick. Right?
The MPs say that in their standing orders, there is a caution that when matters are pending in court, they should hasten slowly about those matters.
You see, but even look, the vetting of...
Hold on quickly for me. Hassan Tampuli referenced that standing order. I'm familiar with it. Let's hear him again.
Okay, when we're done, I'll continue.
And in addition to that standing order, have you seen publications? These days, people file petitions, Article 146 petitions. They file them and then they put them out in the public, which is not allowed by the law. Now, have you seen a publication that says there is a petition against this current acting Chief Justice?
If we follow this petition,
let's hear.
No one will be vetted in this country.
Let's hear Hassan Tampuli again.
Part of our democratic dispensation is that anybody who is aggrieved by any administrative body, whether it's a constitutional body, executive or parliamentary body, has a right to proceed to courts. And it's important that we give meaning and effect to these provisions that are in the Constitution. not to say that the parliament is not independent. The judiciary and parliament are both independent but coordinates in status. And in order not to, cause a lot of confusion, our own standing orders provide that when there are matters still pending in courts, parliament should hesitate in considering those matters on the plenary. And I think that this is one of such instances where parliament must tarry a while for the processes to be completed at the judiciary before we can proceed.
This points to a question about, after all, there is some petition. What should you do? And last week, my production gave me an all-lawyer panel, so I had to play a certain role. Yeah. And I ended up becoming NDC. Today, I am very sure in my mind, but the role I'm playing, I'll end as an MPP.
Yeah, but if you even look at it, you look at even the Charlotte Osei's removal. When was the petition done? It was done on the 28th of June, 2018. Kweku Bako filed an appeal on the 11th of July.
I was Kweku Bako's lawyer.
Yes. Yeah, and what happened? On the 23rd July, Jen Mensah was appointed. Right? So if we want to juxtapose these issues and look at them, then, and what, from the point we're coming with the petitions and holding all of these in staying out of this, then if they appoint anyone to even be minister today, someone can go. Someone, go with a frivolous petition and it halts the process. So are we going to, how do we expect to go on this tangent in all of these situations? So for me, the vetting process in and of itself, right, is a constitutional mandate that allows for transparency, the test of the efficacy of the office holder, right? And any matters that may bar the person, we all know Justice Eniyabwa, fine jurish, as he is. So why would you take a process that he's remote from? If you want to go on the process, look, where I would have...
Say Justice Eniyabwa.
Sorry, I said Justice Bafuboni. Yeah. I beg your pardon, Justice Bafuboni.
That's all right.
Yeah. So you go in, very fine gentleman, and he knows his law. So you go in. Why wouldn't she say, okay, well, in certain jurisdictions.
Actually, he's a Kufu appointee, eh?
Yes. That's where Professor Remo, to because research, we can bring that to test and say President Mahama is actually following the due process. But let me end on this point, Samson. What I'm trying to say here is that within this process, she could have said, look, I'm asking for XY release. There have been instances, right? If the court feels that certain wrong has been done to him, they can ask for her restoration. But that doesn't mean that there should be a vacuum for an independent office, an office as critical as CJ.
Is it not more decent not to put somebody in and then the court says remove that person and let
we are following due process. It's not about what is neat and what is not neat. It's the due process of it. But I think that people should be commending President Mahama.
When I was doing the Charlotte Osei case, that's the same thing I was thinking. Okay, so when I get the judgment, Jim Mensah will go out.
Yes, it's doable.
So you see, Khalid, you need to recognize this. And I think you were making the point, except you're afraid you'll be perceived one way or the other. But
I'm never afraid of that.
Okay. But I think that you are relatively balanced in your approach. But you see, the power of judicial review is such a powerful thing. It's the counterbalance to executive power.
That's correct.
And that is something that should not be taken for granted. The history of it goes way back when that force was established. So I'm saying that if the Justice Tokono is seeking a judicial review, that actually, Samson, puts a burden on us. Yes, I understand how interminable it would mean if the case is not decided and therefore we have to wait. But I also recognize that there is no hurry in this case, really. Chief Justice Bafuboni, who is in line to become the next CJ, he is the acting CJ. So he should empanel the judges to look at the case.
That's one of the concerns of the minority.
Yes.
Sule, one of the concerns of the minority is that the CJ cases, CJ removal challenge cases, appear to have stalled. They are not moving on. Nobody is working on them. Those that they ended up dismissing the injunction application, the substantive cases are still pending. Why didn't we or shouldn't we be looking to fast track them so that we know the end?
Well, I think we are talking about decisions that have to be made by the same judiciary that we are talking about. It's not as if these are cases that you and I...
You're talking about the acting Chief Justice.
Yes.
Whose job it is to ensure that the wheels, move.
Yes, but I'm saying that it is still the same judiciary that we are talking about. These are not matters that you and I can say, oh, we want this matters heard tomorrow or the next day. I agree with you when you say, okay, he stands to benefit if the cases are stalled, and he has the responsibility of ensuring that actions are taken.
That's the accusation against him, and you can bet that Afenyo King will point those things to him at the vetting.
Well, I think that it's not about whether Justice Tokonu benefits or Justice Bafuboni benefits. I think a swift determination of those cases would be to the benefit of our nation. Because it's all about our democracy, it's all about, our rule of law systems. And for me, my desire would have been, look, let the cases be heard. But even so, I'm saying that a determination has already been made in terms of whether Justice Tokonu has been removed or not. She is a former CJ. And the processes must go on. I think that there is a determination by the same Supreme Court that says that the fact that a case has been filed should not prevent a public officer from performing.
But the substantive point, if you heard yourself earlier, you refer to the Domolevo case. Mm-hmm. You refer to it in a manner that you were not happy about.
Yes.
So I was part of the Domolevo case. I'm sure you would have been part of the meetings that civil society we had, and then eventually had to file the suit. Ace Ankoma, everybody, Martin Pebu. And you are not happy that it was delayed until too late.
Yes.
Then they brought out the decision. I was a plaintiff in the COVID-19 laws. And when we filed the case, it was after COVID-19 was long gone, blah, blah, before the decision came and said that, law was wrong. By the same token, shouldn't it be your wish that this case would have gone fast?
No, so
even though Justice Tokonu, one of the accusations she faced is railroading the Afenyo King suit against Parliament.
Yeah. No, so that is why I made the point that my desire would be that these cases are heard swiftly. And I also made the point that it's not about who benefits at the end of the day. I think that it is in the interest of the nation that critical matters like these are heard in good time, rather than we don't even know when it's going to be heard. But nonetheless, I also make the point that whether the cases are heard today or tomorrow or the next, which would be my desire, decisions in terms of whether Justice Gertrude Tokonu remains a CJ or not has already been made. And she is a former CJ now. And I think that, why?
I'm saying those suits.
When you say that is not true, she's not a former CJ.
Those suits are impeaching the removal.
Yes.
One is impeaching the process before the removal.
Yes.
A couple are impeaching the process before the removal. And then the final one is impeaching the room after the removal.
No, Samson, so it comes down to the same Domolevo scenario that you cited.
Right.
As the Domolevo case was pending, did we not have President Akufo-Addo appoint a substantive Auditor General? At that point, whilst the Domolevo case was pending, and the challenge was that the removal was wrong.
My point is that you and I were not happy.
Yes.
We wanted the case to be finished quick before anybody gets appointed.
I get you, but I think, my brother, when I say that, as far as the issues are concerned now, Justice Gertrude Tokonu at this moment is a former CJ. She says no.
No.
And I'm saying that.
Oh, that one is a fact she cannot dispute.
You can dispute
but
that.
Samson, I was on the floor when you gave it. See, that is not factually true, and it's not legally true. And you know, Samson.
It's legally true.
No,
because her own,
only
her
to
own
the extent.
Suit, wait. Her own suit in the High Court confirms that she has been removed.
But I'm just saying that as far as legally, it's not true, and you know that. You see, the history of judicial review, remains. And if you go back to John Marshall's assertion, which says that it is the province of the Supreme Court to say what the law is. So the process has have been executed, Article 146. The executive, they've gone through a process, but the Supreme Court remains or reserves the right to say that process, there was impropriety with it, and by exercising the power of judicial review, reverse that.
That's understood.
And that's exactly what the Chief Justice is claiming in court. So we cannot, until the conclusion of that case, now say that she is completely out of options. She's not. Legally.
You use the word legally.
Yes.
Once you say legally, she is not removed,
yes,
then I would say that is inaccurate and we cannot miseducate the public.
Well, you cannot.
Once the gavel has come down.
Yes.
There
was no gavel in this case. There was no gavel. No, hold on. Something. I agree with you, but there was no gavel in this case. There was a certain committee that was put. Hold on.
What did she say?
I'm coming. There was a certain. I'm coming. Hold on.
But what's she fighting? What is she fighting?
No, wait. So something that question is for you.
No, what's she fighting?
Because look, if you believe in the power of judicial review and the extent to which it can go, it means that everything that is done until the Supreme Court firms it up in this request that she has before the Supreme Court, it is not conclusive, because the power to say what the executive has done is absolute and right remains with the Supreme Court. Absolutely. The only challenge for me now is that the person waiting in line to become the next CJ is actually a beneficiary of the process, and which is why which is why the process has stymied. But what we must do as a country and a democracy that must have a future is that we must insist that the Supreme Court hear this case and do so fairly.
Okay.
So that we can see
we need to
some
move
finality.
All for all similar cases.
We can move on.
All for all similar cases. Don't be selective.
I think
this is the one in front.
Thank you. To say that would be, for example, saying that President in the 2012 elections, for example, when there was a challenge before the Supreme Court, then someone says, look, until the case is determined, we shouldn't have.
No, that's a different situation.
I mean, what is different about this?
That's a different situation.
Until the courts have decided otherwise.
Yes.
The CJ legally.
It's a former CJ.
Removed.
But I'm saying that the action before the Supreme Court is consequential. Requesting a review of an executive action is consequential, and that's on that.
For a constitutional procedure that has been followed.
Wait for the conclusion of that
in
matter.
Spirit and letter.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Let's talk hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are normal structures located in the anus of all mammals.
But it is only man who suffers hemorrhoidal disease because of the erect process we have assumed and the squatting that we do to empty our bowel. Hemorrhoids consist of a special type of blood vessels which fill with blood when we are moving our bowel and help to cushion the anus against the force of transmitting the stool. Afterwards, they empty their blood, collapse, help seal the anus to maintain continence. Over time, these vessels lose the elasticity of their walls, become dilated, permanently filled with blood, leading to congestion of the hemorrhoids. The symptoms of hemorrhoids are bleeding and prolapse of the hemorrhoids, when passing stool, itching and feeling of warmth in the anus and anal discharge. Laser, ligature, and longo are the modern, minimally invasive, most effective, and painless methods of treating hemorrhoids today.
Winterba Hospital, first Ghana Colorectal Center, in to serve a peculiar health need.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Imagine a logistics partner that's more than just a partner, a complete ecosystem for Africa and beyond. Welcome to Magdan Shipping Company Limited. For over 2 decades, we have been the trusted name in shipping and logistics, building a reputation for excellence that's second to none. We offer a comprehensive suite of services to meet every challenge. From dedicated ocean freight with our own vessels to chartered cargo planes for urgent air transport, we control and synchronize every link of your supply chain in line with a vision of the African Continental Free Trade Area. After need to move large-scale equipment, our expertise in project cargo ensures every detail is handled with precision. With our expansive network of warehouses and trusted partners across the globe, we provide seamless storage and distribution solutions that keep your businesses connected. Through our network partnerships, we ensure your cargo moves where it needs to and when it needs to. At Magdan, we are dedicated to delivering exceptional services and solutions that embody the highest standards of quality and efficiency. Email sales@magdanshipping.com. Magdan Shipping Company Limited, your trusted partner for every logistical need.
But Mom, these shoes are too big for me.
Oh, this one, by Christmas, it all fits, Pepe.
Planning ahead? It's in the DNA of Ghanaians.
But this has your name on it.
One day it will be yours.
Thinking beyond today has always been a part of us.
But Dad, the water is flowing.
And what if it stops tomorrow?
As Ghanaians, we prepared not just for now, but for what's next. And that's why for 20 years, we've provided life insurance solutions for every aspect of your future. Star Life Assurance, your solid partner for life.
What we are seeing appears to be a draft, and that they want to consult on that draft. From what I have seen as a former information minister, this draft is dangerous, though it's not surprising. And let me explain why it's not surprising. It's not surprising because I think the president first announced it, that they are going to use the national security apparatus to go after people who make comments on social media that they consider, for whatever reason, whether it's under hate speech or it's under whatever, they consider it unfavorable. They're going to search for your IP addresses and then get the security apparatus to go after you. The president himself said it. So it's not surprising that his minister is now following up with a draft bill with such wild provisions in there. What is dangerous about it is that over the last set of decades, various countries have been moving away from criminalizing speech. There are other remedies for speech that may be deemed unfavorable, most of them civil, but not necessarily criminalizing it. Even the Criminal Libel and Sedition Act was repealed by the Kufuor administration. There are still remnants of laws that still seek to criminalize speech. For example, this law that is being used a lot, publication of false news, with intent of causing fear and panic, is one of those laws that actually still needs to be repealed. Instead of repealing that to advance, democratic freedoms, the government is now seeking through this draft that it wants to consult on to enact legislation that will now even ensure that when you put up a comment in your chat groups and they find it offensive according to their criteria, you could go to jail. And I think it's a very dangerous, encroachment into the area of free speech. The government needs to tread cautiously.
Right. And I know that just too many of you are waiting for the explosive SML investigative report by the OSP and the subsequent swift action by the president. Almost in a similar fashion. When KPMG did its report, President Akufo-Addo didn't delay in swiftly terminating some of the contracts. And then just when the OSP also finished, President Mahama didn't delay in instructing that all other outstanding contracts should be terminated as far as the SML is concerned. The OSP has used some very, some language, very harsh about the deal. He says it looked like a masterful and mischievously crafted scheme designed by Mr. Ofori-Atta as the chief promoter, patron, and sponsor. He says it was a deliberate attempt to manipulate the procurement process, introduce a redundant private actor, that the company was incorporated for the sole purpose of employing it as a vehicle to ride on official patronage, and all sorts of claims have been made. And so Ken Ofori-Atta and 5 others are in trouble. The OSP, as we understand, by this process, they have saved the country 1.25 billion. And they are in the process of the prosecution hoping to get, 125 million Ghana cedis as well. So just hang in there. We will get to that issue shortly. But if you have been hanging on social media and doing so anonymously, let me inform you that the bill that is to be passed, if it is passed in its current form, you will be in trouble. If you assume a false identity to anonymously harass or stalk any person, you are likely, if you are found, it's an offense. And if you are found guilty, you are liable on summary conviction to a term of imprisonment not less than 1 year and not more than 10 years, or a fine not less than 100 penalty units. So you multiply 12 times 100. It will give you the Ghana cedis you need to pay, the minimum, and not more than 10,000 penalty units. 12 times 10,000. How much does that give you? In some instances, you could go to jail for 5 years and may be paying a fine of as much as 300,000 Ghana cedis or 60,000. So, we remember the Spybill postal packet 2016, and it was my good self, as the minister then confessed, that our proposals and our criticisms that led them to withdraw it. Let's see this time if Newsfile can once again inform some tweaking or removal completely of this bill. Why should it be removed? Gentlemen, let me come to you. I think I should start with Sulemana here, because you are in that space. And in recent times, you have been campaigning against the similar-like provisions in the Criminal Offences Act and the Communications Act, Electronic Communications Act.
Yeah,
what's wrong with the bill?
So it's a draft bill, if I may call it.
Yeah, it is seeking to introduce 22 new sections by amendment, and then it also wants to have 28 new sections inserted into the bill. So in all, 50 new provisions.
First of all, I think that as a country, it is right for us to be concerned about the evolution of technology and, of course, the benefits that come with it, but also the challenges that we can have. We certainly should be concerned about the crimes that can often be perpetrated online. We certainly have to be concerned about situations where people use digital platforms to incite violence. We've had communal violence in this country that, to a large extent, if you ask people involved, they will tell you that they strongly believe that the influence of social media, in inflaming the conflict has been so significant. And so certainly as a country, and people lose money all the time through cyber fraud and all of that. People go behind the scenes, create anonymous, identities online and use it to stalk people, use it to either attack people, to threaten people. I remember an incident where somebody wrote to, Manasseh threatening him, and the case was reported to, the Cybersecurity Bureau of the Ghana Police Service, and till date, nothing has happened and all of that. So I'm raising all these to say that it is important that as a country, we take steps to see how we address some of these challenges. And of course, the whole question about mis and disinformation is a phenomenon that is getting global attention, and nobody has been able to identify the most appropriate responses to it. The digital companies started with this whole thing about fact-checking. Increasingly, we are being told that it is not the most effective way to respond to, the phenomenon of mis and disinformation. As we speak in the Sahel region, where we have these coup d'etats, there's a lot of concern about how mis and disinformation is being used to prop up certain leaders or to push certain narratives and all of that. But having said that, I think, Samson, the draft that I have seen is a terrible one. And I don't know why any people would think that as a democratic state, we should have a piece of legislation like this that basically grants discretionary powers to the minister, to the authority, to basically do anything, to snoop on it, to basically intrude if they want, if they choose to.
And we'll be happy as you speak if you can refer to specific portions rather than general.
Yes. Yes. Let me just refer you to, and there are several. So, for example, if you look at you lawyers call it Section 35, right? So where it talks about the minister may, on the advice of the authority, designate a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure if the minister considers that the computer system or computer networks is essential for national security, is understandable, the economic and social well-being of citizens, a bit controversial. What does that mean? If you say a network is essential for the economic and social well-being of the citizens, I think what we are doing here, what multimedia does, is certainly of the economic and social well-being of the citizens. But if you come to subsection...
Which provision have you just looked at? Proposed provision is that?
So what is number 35.1?
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm. So if you come to the subsection 3 of that, the minister shall, in making making a determination under subsection 1, where the minister is empowered to designate a computer network as a critical information infrastructure, consider the following. And part of the consideration is if whatever is being done affects an international business or communication or affects a citizen of Ghana or any other international business in which a citizen of Ghana or the government of Ghana has interest. I mean, how do we ensure that this is done? Then there is another one that says any other services determined by the minister on the advice of the authority. This is quite vague. The authority, if they choose to say, okay, what multimedia is doing, we don't like it, we come here and say, okay, we have designated your computer systems as a critical national infrastructure because what you do affects, the well-being of our citizens. It has implications on international business, local businesses, the economic activities of people, and all of that. But I think what is even more worrying, which I've actually highlighted in red, is down there where we have section 59D inserted. So this is number 26. It says the principal enactment is amended by the insertion after 59C of 1, application for production order to collect computer data. And it says 59D, an investigative officer. And remember that the amendment now empowers folks at the Cybersecurity Authority to have the powers of the police, and to prosecute and to arrest, all of that.
The current law, they already have inspectors.
Yes.
Except they do not have the powers of the police.
Yes,
okay.
But now this is granting them those powers. And then it says what? An investigative officer may apply ex parte. And I believe that is what you normally would say, they go on your blind side. So even without your notice, ex parte to the High Court for a production order to collect computer data. Then it lists some of so a production order under this section shall require
There's something I wanted you to pay attention to.
Yes.
The first provision you read, which you have highlighted, which you don't like. The current provision, section 35, designation of critical information infrastructure. It reads, the minister may, on the advice of the authority, designate a computer system or computer network as a critical information infrastructure. You see the same wording? Yep. If the minister considers that the computer system or computer network is essential for A, national security, or B, the economic or social well-being of citizens.
Yeah, but there are several others now added. And I'm saying these are fundamentally vague, and it grants discretionary powers. If a minister, and the minister on the advice of the authority, I think that is just some wording. If the minister decides to act, basically on the advice of the authority. And then you have what I was reading, where an investigative officer makes an application under Section 1. That investigative officer shall, it talks about explain why he believes that he needs that ex parte, authorization granted for you to produce data. So what it means is that you can be here and then you receive a notice that your communication data is being requested, and the law criminalizes it if you decide not to grant it.
If you obstruct.
If you obstruct, not to grant it. And something I'm saying, you read it in entirety, and I don't know what informs the decision to go this way.
Do you know that presently, if your telephony records, if there's a suspicion that you're using your phone to do some act which is wrong, the police are allowed to go to court ex parte, as you find it here. That means on your blind side, without your knowledge.
The police?
Yes.
The police.
And they go, and the court grants them an order to go to the telco, MTN or whoever they are, and then they will get your telephony record.
No, so that's why I kept repeating the police, the national, institute, the establishment that is supposed to fight crime, deal with crime, law enforcement, we all understand. But if we now grant another institution the powers of the police to be able to, go ex parte, seek, behind, get a court order without your knowledge.
Is it the suggestion?
Is
it the suggestion?
It says that.
Is it the suggestion that the police are prone to be more professional than officers of the Cybersecurity Office or the inspectors who are presently in the Cybersecurity Office?
No,
that one group can do mischief, but one group will not do mischief. Is that it?
No. If we begin to have a situation where in this country we have duplications of institutions doing the same thing with discretionary powers, I don't think that it is good for our democracy. I don't think that it's even good for national security itself. And that is why I think if we have a situation where the police can already do that, and the existing law can enable officers of the Cybersecurity Authority engage and partner with the police to say, look, this is what we are discovering. And that is why the police, I believe, has a cybersecurity unit. I mean, it is not for nothing that the police, as we have it, has a cybersecurity unit that deals with cybersecurity issues. And when these matters come and they have to go to the court to get ex parte authorizations and whatever, I think the cybersecurity unit will do that.
There are law enforcement bodies that have been giving police powers. You don't have any problem with that. You have the EPA that can do things. They have inspectors, all of these. What's the problem?
No, so you see, like I said, the police already has a cybersecurity unit. I'm not saying that, therefore, we shouldn't have the cybersecurity authority. If the cybersecurity authority is supposed to be an expert institution to be able to support investigations, identify issues, and work with the police cyber crime unit to deal with matters that come up, I don't have a problem. But to now have this piece of legislation drafted with, as I said, I mean, if we had a time to go through, because I've highlighted so many places, application for preservation of data.
No, that's small bits. And once again, remember that the guests will take a position and that will be adverse to the law. And my job is to read it and reflect back to them. It doesn't mean my views. You don't want to hear what my views are on this law. We just passed the Gold Board Act. And we have given the inspectors there police powers, go around and arrest people and do things. Wow. What's the difference?
No, but the fact that others are doing it doesn't make it right.
Okay.
That's my position. To now begin to have almost every institution having the powers of the police. I think that we will be creating chaos, anarchy, because you never know how an individual may want to act against you, especially if the person has those discretionary powers. And that, for me, is the problem. And I want to believe that this particular draft, as I said, and the problems that are in it would be something that I believe those who are promoting it would sit down and then reflect on it and say, look, today it is you. But remember, tomorrow it can be used against you. Sometimes that is what happens. When people are in power, they feel, okay, well, we are in power, at my discretion, I can do this or I can do that, but the next time it will be used against you.
Okay.
I don't think that as a democratic country, this is the kind of legislation that we must have in terms of dealing with the cyber security issues that we have. As I said from the beginning,
I was thinking you will go first
issues.
to the, media, practice linkages.
And there are so many, like I said. So if we are investigating something about a powerful minister or something, I mean, basically somebody goes to the court ex parte to say, look, these people, we suspect that they are doing something that is wrong. And basically you are ordered to produce your records. What it means is that even the issues of confidentiality of sources and all of that, you may not even have it anymore. Because once a court orders that your laptop must be produced, you produce it. And then everything in there can be viewed. I don't think that we should get that.
That can only happen if you are suspected as involved in a crime.
Exactly. But in this case, cyber crime could mean a lot. You are using your computer to snoop on somebody, or there is a suspicion that, you are stalking on somebody. There's a suspicion that you are using your computer systems to deal with child online protection issues. A lot of issues can be raised. And like I said, it is important we deal with the cybersecurity concerns that we have. But whatever piece of legislation we are introducing must be, as they say, justifiable, proportionate, and necessary.
Okay. Richard, which parts are problematic for you? Kujopon Nkrumah says we can trust that they will oppose these obnoxious parts of it.
Something. The whole show.
The whole show?
The whole show.
The portions that wants to improve the conditions of service of the people there, all of it should go.
I'm saying that, when you're in class and then they teach and the teacher sometimes you don't understand.
That's an example.
And which part don't you understand? So, the whole show. The whole effort. The motive behind it is not good for our democracy. This is not cyber security they are fighting. This is cyber coup that they are orchestrating on our constitutional rights. They are determined to curtail our rights. And I think that we shouldn't just countenance it. I mean, there is another bill that I think is working its way along this. There's disinformation, hate speech, and publication of other sorts or something. What is all this? What is the problem? Like, really, what is happening? Like, what is...
In fact, that one, there is some protection for you, the politicians.
And I'm just...
So that people don't vilify you anyhow, the way they do all the time.
But you know who the protection is for?
It's for you, the politician.
The supreme leader. He is trying to gather this protection for himself. Nobody needs that. This thing they should quietly disappear with this thing. We are quickly becoming a police state. Look, this whole thing is going to promote surveillance on citizens, okay? It's going to give them needless powers to invade, intrude into our privacy, and they can do it at will, and you have now added police powers to that, enhance their ability to freely just move into any space. I'm talking about they can come here and take over your computers by, I think, a notice of 7 days that they are coming here. They come and look at your computers, and if they feel that you're doing something they are not happy about, Khalid, this is what your government is doing. Before you came, nothing broke with anything. People were talking just fine. You leveraged that to come to power. Now suddenly, you don't like
what are we doing?
Freedom of speech.
What are we doing?
I'm saying that.
You have the greatest freedom of speech in this country.
Wait. You see, something. This thing is terrible. I think, is it 67A, I think section 6 there, talks about, impersonating, if you can just find it, using a certain identity to send certain information into certain platforms and whatnot. And I'm just saying that who would determine how offensive the matter is that you are posting in a certain social media group or that you are communicating? And so government is not happy with that we can't talk anymore. I find it very offensive. Look, we have enough rights on the books, okay, to protect anybody. Now you have a situation where, if I say something that defames you, that you feel is inappropriate, that besmirch your character, you have a civil remedy that you can pursue. But now we are talking about a criminal act. If you and I get into a conversation, or I send you something and you find that you don't like it, how is that going to help us construct our roads? Is that what really is our priority? How is that going to help us provide jobs? I don't know, you forgot about that. That was why you won election. You said you had some 24-hour economy stuff that you're coming to do. Where is that? Khalid, where is the 24-hour economy? There's no jobs being created. Up and down this country, people are out of jobs. Young people are wailing. They want jobs. You haven't created that. You are busy writing legislation left, right, center. To what end? If nothing at all, Samson, we should be able to talk. There is no democracy without free speech. This curtailment of our rights, this effort to snoop on citizens, this bill that is coming to completely do away with our rights, our constitutional rights, I don't think that is right. Specifically, we know what Suleiman was talking about in relation to the police powers that is given to them. I think it's excessive. Look, if you have the police doing this, yes, I had concern with the gold board situation with the policing, how they would be able to exercise it. Because the police service has evolved over time. They have mastered the act of policing. And even then, they are still improving. They are still building. There are instances where you think that you see them committing excesses. And so to hand that power to a certain authority that is created and seeing the sensitivity of speech, I'm focused about that.
Let me ask you one.
In a political space, in a democracy.
Let me ask you one small harmless question. So when the postal packets bill was introduced in 2016, the NDC was in government.
Yeah.
You and I, we came together and fought them.
Right.
I remember how, because it was an election year, the suggestion was that they want to intrude, they want to intercept Akufo-Addo's communication and all of these things. They withdrew the bill, right? And they came forward here on this platform to say they've heard us, they've withdrawn it. Guess who passed that bill later, in 2020, was your government.
Yeah.
And the things we cried against were not removed. They were still there. So I wrote and said, among other things, that this is a publication, an interview I gave. And I said that portions of the newly enacted law are the same as the contents of the Postal Packet and Telecommunications Messages Bill, also known as the Spybill. That was sternly rejected by a section of Ghanaians when it was laid before Parliament in 2016. In fact, Akufo-Addo joined the campaign. So I said, quote, this must be a lucky government. That's your government. All the organizations and individuals who joined in that war that forced a review and eventually got it shelved have been in deep sleep. They have been in a coma. Remember President Akufo-Addo, the NPP joined me, the telcos, Ghana Bar Association and others to kick against the spy bill. So the very things we protested, including that dangerous backdoor approach to invading privacy without recourse to a supervision, without recourse to or supervision of the court, is now law in this Cybersecurity Act 2020. And that's really only a new name. This time, hefty sanctions, including fines of up to 240,000 or more, plus 5 years in jail, await people who breach this law, including the telcos and their CEOs. In fact, in this law, the present law as it is, you could go to jail for up to 25 years for some offenses.
Yeah. So something, I don't think that there is anything wrong with seeking to protect the cyberspace. There are genuine concerns there that we need to try and work around. But using cybersecurity to protect our digital space as a political tool to oppress, okay, to silence dissent, and weaponize that to prevent citizens from freely engaging in democratic process, I find that to be reprehensible. I find that to be unacceptable.
My point to you is that if that is the aim, then we already did that in 2020.
Well, the point is that
why law which I'm asking to amend.
Well, I don't see the blatant insertions that I'm seeing here. You understand? And even that, if it's a process, we can look at it and amend it. But I'm saying that anything you are doing that curtail people's ability to participate in the democratic process, you are drifting away from democracy. Fundamental point. Okay? And this bill and its cousin, the misinformation, disinformation, is leading us on that path.
Interesting.
So my goal is that let's throw this thing away. Okay, let's take a clean sheet of paper and start again. This thing here cannot suffice. It shouldn't be anybody's idea to bring this to Parliament and to try and do anything. Because now they have what they call the supermajority in Parliament, so they feel they can do anything. In fact, that in itself is a temptation. Okay, that you guys need to resist, that you feel you can do anything. And then there's a motion to stop you from vetting the Chief Justice nominee. You say you are not going to listen, all the noises we are hearing, but this thing is wrong. Okay, you are undermining our democracy, and I don't think it's right. You know, but in this bill, if you come around again, the component in there, which is talking about certification for professional bodies and people in the digital space, I think is very draconian. It's going to put burden on businesses and professional organizations, censorship, and to a large extent, increase the cost of doing business because they have to pay money to be able to obtain this.
Now, Prof, am I allowed to give small advice?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That you do a comparative analysis of the existing provisions in the 2020 law and check them with the proposed amendments. And then you may come to a better place to help your group in Parliament to fight what has to be fought. Once again, you don't want to know my view on this bill.
Okay, well, yes. I mean, something, thank you very much.
I'll respond to your small advice.
You see, there's something I've learned in my short life in government, that and in opposition, right, having had both experiences, that you don't personalize legislation. Because when you personalize legislation, you're going to leave someday, another would come. And when you personalize it, you are blinded not to see. So with such legislations, I always call for a bipartisan perspective to it. And, we've been here for probably half an hour taking our turns in the criticisms of the set proposed, in these draft stages. And it's been very sweeping rather than very specific to pick point by point to say what it is. I'm not criticizing, I'm welcoming the views. In all of this, I don't know the extent to which the consultations have gone, but I think that the cybersecurity network in the country, in terms of professionals, civil society organizations, et cetera, those who matter and have their work directly related to this ought to be consulted to see the way forward. Sometimes, Samson, legislation really is a very difficult process. And the most difficult processes or stages of legislation is drafting. That's the use of language. Sometimes the intent is not as it reflects on paper, which is why you need to get very astute drafters to help in the process. Now, having said that, it takes me back to a sister or a mother kind of legislation within the European Union or possibly the UK, which was called or nicknamed the Snooper Charter. And that is, by that I refer to the IPA 2016, which is the UK's Investigatory Powers Act. This has been described by its critics as the most, controversial surveillance law in the democratic world. Now, when it comes to issues of national security and surveillance and in how we expand them, they are a very difficult process. We talk about child molestation or online and protection. We're talking about protecting the rights of individuals being maligned. I know, Sule, sometimes I see your photos up and people writing all sort of stories about you taking bribe on the blind side of Manasseh, which we all know is not true, but we know that's just on a lighter note, yes. But to protect things like this. But the description and where the partisan perspective from where Richard is coming from is what I think we all should move away from, comparing it. For a government that said, or an opposition party that said we don't eat roads, today, because of a legislation that is being put in place when we've just launched a big push, you are asking whether we have created enough infrastructure to talk about legislation. But that does not mean that the cyberspace is a jungle. It needs some form of regulation. Mm-hmm. But all I'm calling for the drafters and the promoters of this act is that, look, let's judge all with the civil society organizations, let's judge all with the relevant agencies that matter. But Richard made a very dangerous point. How do you allow people or practitioners within the cybersecurity space without certification, without the right vetting process, et cetera, I know some of the wording are very front-loading in how they appear in form, right? Some are very vague in how they appear in form. And I think this is just draft stages, which is why we have a constitutional process in Parliament as to how, or a parliamentary procedure, how a bill goes through the various stages, right, before it finally gets a presidential accent. So for you to come out on a first draft, I don't know if it's a first or second draft, but early stage draft, to be this critical, I think would not help the discourse. I don't know also.
You don't criticize this.
No, I said.
It will end up the same as the law.
Yeah.
You know what happens in this town.
Yeah.
And you know how long they've given to all of us to contribute?
How long?
14th of November.
Yeah. So I'm going to come to all of that. That's why I say they have to, because I took, to help with the discourse, I took some key elements of it, like interception of data and acquisition. I find that very interesting. I think that's something we really need to look at. And the sort of powers, instead of giving the powers to the court, we give it to individuals within these agencies. That's why we say we shouldn't personalize. Because when you give such powers to individuals within the agencies, because the court takes a process, it is slow, and it hears both sides of the opposing and whatever views it is. Now you have the also taking freezing orders.
No, it's actually ex parte applications.
Yes.
So the court doesn't hear.
Yes. So I'm saying
there's always a criminal element.
Yeah.
So you don't want to hear the other side.
Yes.
Before you go and stop the activity.
Yeah.
Then give the other side the opportunity to also come in later.
Yes.
I don't remember when the police went and said, give me ex parte, and the court ever refused.
I know within the European Union, you still have the police that are investigating to have those powers, and the court. right? So we may want to, look around best practices and also localize to have a fit for purpose case. And I think that's where we are trying to get to. Also, the 14-day freezing orders before you go to the court to apply, to have all of that. Because look, sometimes certain businesses, if you target a businessman who has a conversion cycle of probably 91 days or whatever it is, you go for 14 days, you halt his business, right? And at the end of the day, you realize that it was just a red herring. What happens? So there are critical issues to take. Then also you think about state protection and the interests of the state. National security, it's paramount when it comes to this.
National security is an unruly horse.
Yes, as you would know. So the diction around national security issues, I go with them with the greatest humility, and also knowing that I'm not an expert in the field, and also knowing that the state interest is supreme. So I think that these are issues that we should not be very partisan about. But Sulemana and your good self, from your experience from civil society and the legal practitioner perspective, you all have contributions to make. And I said, these are early draft stages. Let's all come in and see how we can shape it, right, to have the supremacy of the state interest and to protect ordinary citizens regardless of party coloration.
Let me go to your colleague, Professor. So, Dr. Saiko, I thought we were all worried about how cyber crimes are increasing and how they are going fast ahead of legislation. And so there's need for something to happen. Your very good friend, Professor Bafo Ajimandua, formerly with the CDD, former UN governance advisor, he has had his phone hacked. And people are using, his number and name to make all manner of bizarre financial requests. He's been very distressed in this week. This is some of the things we are seeking to check. What's our problem?
Well, I think the problem or part of the challenge is, as Prof said, how do you balance the state's interest in protecting certain domains against also ensuring that you do not violate certain fundamental rights of citizens as protected by the Constitution. And that balance is not always an easy balance to achieve, because as you mentioned in Prof. Bafo's case, I was one of the people who got that message from the person who hacked his phone. And, if you are able to trace and track such an individual and determine that they have committed a crime within the cyberspace, I don't think any reasonable person would oppose punishing, such an individual for engaging in such an act. The other thing we are also dealing with in the cyberspace, now, is not even these issues of hacking, but it has become, a tool we deploy in our politics, and sometimes, unfortunately, we deploy it in very perverse ways. I mean, if you look, especially in the lead up to the 2024 election, and this was something I wrote about it for an organization in Canada, where you're looking at the way technology is being deployed, the kinds of assertions, things that were being said about candidates, that you can literally look up the candidates' own words and the positions they've taken on some of these positions. But again, you run into that challenge of, yes, does the state have a genuine interest in protecting the cyberspace and ensuring that citizens themselves are protected against malice, hacking, and all of those things, but also not including the kinds of things that can get the state to venture into uncharted waters, where it also becomes a tool for dealing with things that you may not like, or political opponents that you may not like. And I'm hoping that through further engagement and consultation, that the amendments to this bill would get us to a place where the state can do what it wants to do without causing unnecessary injury to citizens. And I think that, for me, is is my biggest take on this, especially on the issue of discretion, right? In our circumstances, I've realized that when the discretion is vague and the discretion is wide, it tends to be abused than when the discretion is narrow and very specific. So those will be some of the things that I would point out as important in further consultations and engagements to make sure the state can do what it wants to do without unnecessarily injuring.
The portions where they criminalize false statements. Look, I defend journalists, I train journalists, but I've often asked myself the question, what's our problem? Are we saying people should be making false statements and get away with them? So the portion where they want to criminalize false statements, what's wrong with it? But my question to that again is, don't we already have laws that take care of that, which we are already battling with? The famous Section 208 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act, part of the repressive laws that we have been championing should be repealed, and then the custodial sentencing in them be removed, or the criminal punishments be removed. It says a person who publishes or reproduces a statement, rumor, or report, which is likely to cause fear or alarm to the public or to disturb the public peace, knowing or having reason to believe that the statement, rumor, or report is false, commits a misdemeanor, meaning you can go to jail up to 3 years. This is 1960. And then in 2008, in the Electronic Communications Act, we provided in Section 76 a similar provision saying that if you're using electronic communication to do any of those acts which will imperil, safety, you could go to jail for up to 5 years. What do you say?
I mean, if there are laws already on the books that can deal with some of these issues, then I am one to say that you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Perhaps what is missing is not so much new rules and laws, but rather greater enforcement of what already exists in the books. I know it is sometimes some of the things that you read on, in cyberspace, especially on social media, some of the things that people have said, some of the things that people say, you look at it and they say it with so much certainty that you would think they were there when it happened. But sometimes some of these things are untrue, and when you have private conversations with individuals about the path that this can potentially lead us on, you're usually to hear things like, well, people can choose to decide what is true or not. And the person who feels injured can always seek, for example, a civil remedy against such untruths. So again, if there are laws on the books, enforce them, but there's always that tension, between what is truly the state's interest and how do you also make sure that innocent citizens don't get caught up in this web of misinformation and disinformation that we are all struggling with, and how do you appropriately deal with it?
Okay, thank you very much. And so, Sule, in the end, your proposal, just in some 30 seconds, we need to go for a break and come to the special prosecutor and interrogate if what he's doing is doing it rightly. The UNESCO and various other, world bodies have said we should not criminalize speech or speech conduct. So even these repressive laws, you have been on the campaign at Media Foundation with the GJA insisting that they should be completely removed. Some of us have said, yes, we need to check because otherwise there's too much of false things people are doing and they're happy about it. We shouldn't allow it. So punish it, but don't punish it as a crime in a civil manner. What should they do to this? What would be your recommendation where they are seeking to punish false, statements using all forms of digital means?
Well, I think that any introduction of criminal sanctions against statements that are made offline or online basically amounts to the reintroduction of criminal libel, which we repealed, we've been happy about. We take it as a mark of progress in our democracy and all of that. As I did indicate, I think that we're at a point where, as a nation, we really have to take a serious and critical look at our cybersecurity space, or our cyberspace, digital space, and how we sanitize it in a way that will promote our development rather than cause a lot of troubles for us. But that does not mean, in a rush to do that, we criminalize everything. In fact, if we say people who make false statements must go to jail, I think a lot of those, the people who go to jail will be a lot of the politicians. If you look at fact-checking reports, and look at how many statements have been marked as false and so on and so forth, it will be a lot of these same politicians, both opposition and government, who would be at fault. And so I think that we need to, I don't think that we have to rush with this. I think earlier they even gave a very shorter notice. And then after some comments, then they said, okay, we give you up to 14 days or so.
You think 14 is enough?
No, it is not. Absolutely,
enough?
No, absolutely not.
About how long?
I don't see the rush. It's not as if Ghana is in a state of emergency over a particular issue. This is a very, very critical matter that affects almost every aspect of our development. Let us take our time, discuss it, debate it, so that at the end of the day, and countries have done it.
Right.
Other countries have done it.
So, Prof, you support that the time should be extended,
Why not?
the 14th?
I mean, in the interest of the state. But then again, I'm not privy to any, possibly there's a national security interest that I don't know of. But if there's no agency...
this one, too, you can't make a blanket support.
Charlie, it's not a support. I'm just saying, I'm making... when...
You don't have to qualify it.
No, I need to qualify it from where I sit. Sometimes there are probably some briefings that I'm not aware of as far as the national security element is concerned.
Should there be more than time?
But there's enough, if there's enough
from
time,
what you say, do you sincerely think that Akufo-Addo did not regret that he led the repeal of the criminal libel?
Maybe we should, because if that was on the books, they wouldn't need to do this. They brought it, and they are... bringing a new version that's almost on steroids. The Section 208 that you refer, it is more punitive even in the misinformation, disinformation, the scope, the requirement, all right? That whether you know the thing or you don't know. Whereas before, you must know that the thing is false in order to be liable. But here they say that even if you don't know.
I was asking about the time.
Yeah, I agree. But quite simply, if you say something and I just share, with the notion that, something is well researched and so therefore it's okay, I am liable just because of that. It's terrible. So my thing is that time is not even the matter here. Let's take a clean sheet of paper. Let's start this process all over again.
Prof, in some couple of seconds, should the time be extended beyond 14th November?
Yes, if that is what would get us to comprehensively gather all the necessary
what's the if you bring in there? You see, if you want more time?
Yes. Okay. Let's extend the time. Let's make sure that, things that must be done well must be done really well. Okay. And so you don't want, time to be a constraint where you're trying to rush.
Thank you so very much. And we'll be right back to go to the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Taking by bashing, just like the Attorney General also took for the oral pronouncements, which were deemed prejudicial to the court processes. We'll be right back.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernart.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You so sorry. Would you back sorry? Oh, what you was that thing? What the can't never well be with you. Hey! Now, I'm back.
Between the high and carbon.
Hey, madam, pipe menu.
A Syntax pipe. Me tono, Omukacham send a one day pa. Say a fee, say a foam. Yeah, the pipe we be a yen gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why, Eliki?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
We need a pipe ben abe use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In a carry water. No hala.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valixlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
From across Africa, they come with dreams. At Academic City, they find purpose.
I am from Nigeria. Studying computer science here has opened my mind to the world of innovation.
As a parent, seeing my daughter thrive at ACT gives me peace of mind.
ACT didn't just teach me skills, it gave me the confidence to lead change.
A world-class faculty, hands-on learning, a campus that inspires bold thinking. Join a community building Africa's future today. Academic City University, educating future-ready leaders.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trout from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late? Of course.
You go be the luckiest. Go be from Georgia, be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God up, boom. If you're poor, what's that? So would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, simple direction. Mr. Goodluck no check me way. Yeah, man.
Easy cry. Or dial star 712 hash. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
I'm his birthday.
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompts, yes. And then boom, confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
Star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, do you have family payment seminar? Before December, maybe release a motivational bomb. Patapa, Mayesu.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Strong and refined, the skincare you deserve. Dream.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You're so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what are you doing? What the kind of way? Well, you can catch him. Hey! Now, I'm by.
Between the Capai and Cabo.
Hey, madam, bye, menu.
A Syntax pipe. Metono, Omukacham send one dempa. Say a fee, say a foam. The other pipe we be a yannick gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why, Eliki?
Come, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No 2 ways.
We need a pipe ben abe use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In the carry water. No hala.
You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And my outfit is by Spybill 2.0. You can find them at Ajuringano, opposite Villa David Estate. They give you the most exquisite kaftans. That's where you get it. You can always call them 0200 84 1988. 0200 84 1988. You can look for Spybill 2.0 on any of their social media handles. Just check it and you see them. The show is also brought to you by the kindest courtesy of Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating entrepreneurial and entrepreneur leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial star 165 hash on MTN to join today. My Way. Syntax stance is strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients, our passion. International Facilities Management Association, they're proud to be associated with your most authoritative news analysis platform, Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature, is the best place to be the coming holiday season. Valex Lease, your affordable documents management solutions. And my guests who have been helping us do the discussion in the studio have been Suleiman Abrahima, Executive Director, Media Foundation for West Africa. Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications of the NPP. Sharif Mahmoud Khalid is Economic Advisor to the Vice President. Okay, and we have on Zoom Dr. John Osai Kwapong, Democracy and Development Fellow, CDD, and Project Director of the Democracy Project. Now let's get to the Office of Special Prosecutor. He had a few things to say. A few things. He gave a speech or a presentation in excess of 50 pages, almost 1 hour, 40 minutes. That appeared to have been the most extensive, well-coordinated investigations to be done on the SML, or almost a dozen or over a dozen entities, state entities that supported them to do all of it up to this point. And as we understand, they have saved 1.25 billion and are chasing 125 million Ghana cedis. Ken Ofori-Atta has been named as the chief promoter, patron, and sponsor of that criminal deal of the SML. So, maybe quickly let's hear the special prosecutor briefly and return to the studio.
The following persons with various corruption and corruption-related offences before the end of November 2025. 1. Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta, former Minister of Finance. 2. Ernest Akori, chef de cabinet to Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta as Minister of Finance. 3. Emmanuel Kofinti, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 4. Amishadai Owusu-Amwa, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 5. Isaac Krenzel, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and General Manager of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 6. Kwejo Damwa, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and Member of Parliament for German South Constituency. As part of the process, the OSP will seek to recover the financial loss caused to the Republic from the persons listed above. Also, the OSP will recover a total amount of 125 million cedis from SML by way of a disgorgement of unjust enrichment of overpayment by the return of the benefit of this amount it obtained unfairly at the expense of the Republic. This amount was arrived on 2 considerations. First, the participation of SML in the public revenue assurance regime was based on largely undeserved automatic payments detached from performance. Second, the figure was adjusted on a quantum meru basis.
Right. So we start with you, and we have to be brief because we have under 30 minutes for this. Suleimana, you caused all this. This is the fourth estate. The SML have issued a statement in response to the special prosecutor, and they say he's damn wrong. All the things he's talking about, they are unfounded. They point us to GRA that in the course of all the brouhaha issued a confirmation that they had actually brought, a revenue increase as a result of the work that they were doing, confirming portions of the KPMG report, which the special prosecutor now rubbishes, and so on. So,
well, Samson, I think to start with, it's important. When I saw the report, the publications online attributed to GRA, and that was, I think, a day before the OSP's press conference, I was quite intrigued, and because those publications were essentially saying that GRA says the SML's contract is delivering, and essentially saying that the state is benefiting. Not too long ago, I made a point that Ghanaians need to know that the current GRA commissioner was, I should say, the senior-most person on the audit team that conducted the KPMG audit and made the findings. I think that I should commend President Akufo-Addo for the decision that was taken to appoint KPMG to do the audit and subsequently terminating the aspects of the contract that were yet to start, the upstream petroleum and the minerals revenue assurances component. Of course, the rest were, conditional, that GRA may do this or may do that, and so on and so forth. So it is important for the public to know that Mr. Anthony Sapong, who is now the GRA commissioner appointed by President Mahama, was part of the team that did the KPMG audit when the story first broke, or when President Akufo-Addo commissioned that audit. And so for me, it was quite curious that GRA now issues a statement to sort of suggest that there wasn't anything wrong with the KPMG contract, when the current GRA commissioner was part of the audit team that pointed to a lot of wrongs, including, the non-adherence to the public procurement processes. For 3 consecutive times, public PPA says no, and yet eventually the contract gets awarded. There was no approval by the GRA board, and yet the contract gets done. And of course, the fundamental question to ask is, at the time that the SML was being awarded the contract, what was their experience in revenue assurances in the downstream petroleum sector and all of that? None, nothing. In fact, this is a company owned by a timber merchant. And if you look at the ORC, the Office of the Register of Companies documentation about SML, this is a company that is dealing in general commodities, trading, import and export of general goods, and then there is a bit of it that says auditing. So there was nothing to suggest that this is an entity that has any experience in the services that they were procured. That
was when they were incorporated in 2017, February.
Yes, but even
as SMEL.
Even as at the time we were doing the story and we went for the data on the company SML, those were still, the areas of their expertise or what they were into. And yet they get sole sourced without PPA approval, without the approval of the GRA board, only to later get ratified by PPA. And then initially gets imposed on, West Blue as a subcontractor. I don't think that anybody needed to convince anyone that this must be a company that is so powerful, that you get a multi-million CD contract, sole sourced, without experience, no PPA approval, no board approval. So that for me is a fundamental point that should let everyone know that there must be something curious about this.
Is the special prosecutor being fair, or a suspicion that may not be fair when he says that Ofori-Atta takes office in January of 2017, and then in less than 2 weeks or so, the company gets incorporated by the timber merchant, so to speak. And then in a matter of about, 3 months, then they get sole sourced for this job, where all the experts have said they never stood a chance. But when he says Ofori-Atta must have, all he's saying, you could see that he's trying to suggest that he was the man behind the incorporation of this company just to milk us, to get money where you haven't done any work. But the PPA, they rejected this company a number of times.
3 times.
The time that they then go and get a ratification, does it not suggest to you that they had done their homework well, and that's why they got the ratification? Instead of looking at that to say it's a criminal process, Ofori-Atta forced them, GRA commissioners were forced by Ofori-Atta and so on.
Well, I think, I don't know as much as the OSP would know, given the investigations that they have done, entities coming together to conduct this operation. But I think that right from the beginning, there were a lot of curious instances of coincidence. Example is the time the incorporation was done. Another example is the MD of SML, as of 2019, was the technical advisor to the GRA commissioner. Then GRA gives a contract to SML in 2020. And then the technical advisor moves to become the MD of this company that has now gotten a contract without PP approval and all of those things.
So Christian Tetesoti is in GRA?
Yes.
And then
as a technical advisor.
And then the company gets a contract.
Yes.
Then he becomes the manager of the company.
He becomes the MD of the company.
And it's possible we want somebody from GRA.
Yeah, he had gone on retirement as controller and accountants general. Comes to become the technical advisor to.
This cannot be mere coincidence.
No, well, I'm saying that's why I use the word curious instances of coincidence. Multiple instances of coincidence that are quite curious. The incorporation, the time that the contract is awarded, who moves from the GRA as a technical advisor to now become the company that has now gotten the contract. The company has no experience. As at the time the story was being done, GRA was the only client to this company. So and obviously when we did the interviews, my colleagues did the interviews. Asked the man about the kinds of things that they claim they were doing on their own website.
Yeah.
The MD says, I don't know anything about that. No, we don't do those things. Then he's told, but those things are on your website. He says, well, I don't do anything on website. Curiously, the next day or after, the website is wiped with that information.
Or the afternoon after the
yes, that information is then taken out.
That wasn't
we are told that this is a company that is saving the country 3 billion, cedis as a result of the interventions. The MD is asked.
Front page.
Yes, front page, daily graphic. The MD is asked about this 3 billion because the data available didn't point to any 3 billion. Then he says, what I know is 1 billion. I don't know about any 3 billion. So quite clearly.
People could misspeak.
Well, but in fact, the IT officer who said he did the presentation, then whispered to Christian Tetesoti to say that, if the media reported 3 billion, it must have been a mistake. Then they are told, but if the media got it wrong, the 3 billion is on your website. The media couldn't have come to put the 3 billion on your website. Then Tetesoti says, I don't know anything about 3 billion. So quite clearly, this was a deal that was made. And I would agree with the OSP in saying that this couldn't have been just a normal procured contract. And if you look at the amount of money involved, and then in the investigations, it was clear that whatever SML said they were doing, the state agencies were doing it. So even GRA officials were surprised. So during the interview, a GRA officer says, I would want you to get the SML officer to clarify whether indeed they are involved in issues of diversion of fuel, dilution of fuel, and all of that as they claim they do. And so that was the first question put to the MD. Then the MD says, no, we don't do that. So GRA was doing some of the things that they had claimed they were doing. MPA, we interviewed Mustafa Hamid. Mustafa says, I'm shocked that another entity will say they are doing this because these are things that the MPA is doing. And for example, in terms of revenue assurance, we have systems in place that if you are an OMC who owes, you can't even lift. Beyond that, every increment is then attributed to SML. That, it's because of SML that we have had an increment, in the oil liftings, which is not true. Because if you look at the MPA data year on year, there is an increment. In fact, there is a story that we are looking into. If you look at the 2024 volumes, it's almost like quadruple, or triple the number the previous year. And we are saying, what happened? What could have caused this major jump between 2023 and 2024? And in fact, this new regime came in and they are, if you look at the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter volumes, it's almost a build-up on the 2024 volumes. And we are saying this is not normal. So these are things that we are looking into. So I perfectly agree with the OSP, and I commend them for the comprehensive work that has been done that basically affirms all that we had discovered. And of course, colleagues Manasseh, Evans, and Ajua, did a diligent job, and subsequently the petition filed to them.
And they also have guys at the Africa Energy Policy.
You mean ASAP?
Yes, ASAP.
Africa Center for Energy Policy.
Yes. What's his name?
Bemboache and Co.
Yeah, because I remember the documentary.
Yes.
These are the guys who were speaking.
Yes.
I remember the foremost tax experts, I said tax, procurement experts.
Yes.
Kwesi Bedu, yeah.
Yes.
They all spoke.
Yes.
Atabedu.
And all of them saying...
But you see, the claims that you made, which the OSP does even a deeper research into, investigations into, the SML is disputing some of them. For example, when you say, because at the initial stages, they took they were submitted for sole sourcing 3 times to PPA and they were rejected. That's why they changed their name from SMEL to SML as a way of confusing the system and to get the contract. They say that's not what they did. All they were doing was just brand sort of enhancement. So they didn't do it to trick anybody.
Well, I think the OSP makes that point. But in the story that was done by the Fourth Estate, that point is never made, that they had to rebrand in order to qualify for the PPA approval. In any case, I don't think that the approval processes is about name. It's really about capacity, experience, and all of that. And of course, at that time, PPA would have been questioning, what is the experience of this company to be sole sourced for this kind of job? And that is why consistently they were disapproved. And then, of course, the powers that be allowed such a contract to be signed. And I was quite surprised that even on the basis of the KPMG audit, I think that the president ought to have, basically authorized for a termination of the entire contract.
You mean
President
Akufo-Addo?
Yes. Because the infractions
were terminated about 2 of them.
No, those
that have not yet started.
Yes, they hadn't started. So what was the point?
Because you, in the documentary, made the point that in that regard, they are also going to earn money, get money for no work done.
Yes.
In our minerals, sector, gold and other mineral sector. And then he stopped it. So that was good.
So the point was that based on the downstream petroleum sector work that is being done and the amounts of money that being paid, over 24 million, every month, and all of that. We thought, look, if this was a scheme that is not delivering any value for money, why should we now add on upstream petroleum and the mineral royalties, revenue assurance to the same entity? Essentially, the same thing happening downstream is going to happen upstream and in the mineral sector. And of course, it hadn't started, so the president terminated.
Okay.
There's even an argument about whether this required parliamentary approval because it was a multi-year contract.
KPMG had recommended that they should seek parliamentary approval.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I don't think happened.
The OSP says, look, once they made all these wrongs, let's not go and seek a belated approval. Within the NDC, the suggestions have been, this was a subtle Ejapa. If you don't get the mineral royalties through the Ejapa deal, get a company to pipe into what do they call it? Whatever enhancements that they were doing.
Revenue assurance.
And then you literally do nothing, but every month you get paid from our mineral royalties. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, I'll come to that, but I want to address something which, to help my brother, shed light on this. Fantastic work done with your team. But I think in speaking, I just want to be fair to individuals here. In speaking, you make cursory mention of the current GRA boss, Mr. Anthony Sapon, that he was the senior-most KPMG partner at the time when this was done. Juxtaposing that with the current GRA statement, there is a vast difference between an individual and an institution, right? And you also commend President Akufo-Addo, actually, for engaging KPMG. So when his name keep coming in without a real contextualization of who he was, what role he played, because also being a senior-most member or partner of a Big Four audit firm does not mean you have a direct involvement in an audit process. So I'm quite wary as to how we drop in. It's a big platform. Let's be fair.
One, I think that is because we don't have time.
Let's be fair.
Really don't think that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, let's be fair. Anthony Sapon is not here. But if I'm picking them from how the name is dropped and the linkages that are being made.
Okay.
So let's be fair to that.
We have very little time.
So maybe at the right time you can. Yeah, but this is not. But I think that we have to be fair to various individuals and remove them from institutions and in their individual capacities and roles they've held.
Laughing.
Okay, so then moving on, from our perspective, you even look at the date of incorporation, probably, of SML, right? The date of incorporation and its core mandate, it just tells you what it was created to do. Now you look at the individuals that the OSP is mentioned from his podium.
Foriata is not on the board of SML.
No, I'm not coming.
So that is
No. Apart from, look, Samson, where I'm coming to, let me drop.
You said the date of incorporation. If you go to Registrar General,
yes,
you don't see Foriata.
No, I'm not saying you see it. I'm just saying
the fact that Foriata comes into government in January, and in 2 weeks the company is set up, and then in 3 months they come for sole sourcing.
Samson, it's not about being on the board of. Go
ahead.
The supervising ministry of the GRE is the finance ministry. So if we are seeing names, there's a certain correlation in how things are. And two ex or former GRA bosses, including the head of customs, have been mentioned in this. We're not all saying they are guilty whatsoever. We're just looking at the connection. So if you have a supervising ministry, which is the finance ministry, that's the supervising ministry for the Ghana Revenue Authority, then it makes interesting meaning as to the connection and linkages as to how this all came about.
Is it not the same argument you make about institution and individual?
Yes, of course. And I stand by it, and I can break it all down here.
We don't have time to proceed quickly.
Yes. Yeah, it's the same argument, and I still stand by that. So we say supervising ministry of an agency. I didn't say supervising auditing firm and an individual. Because I say supervising ministry.
To the substantive point.
So you look at it and then you say, okay, well, what was this? All of what has been uncovered, as you would see, it takes another president to cancel this. President Mahama has made a decisive statement based on what has come up. But you look at all of these in terms of revenue assurance issues. I have severally on this platform even said, because left to me alone, from where I sit, KPMG shouldn't have been engaged to do this. The Auditor General, you could see the quality of forensic audits coming out in recent times, tells you the capacity of the office of the Auditor General. So left to me alone, from where I said the office of the Auditor General could have done this, rather than even engaging KPMG.
I think Imani made that point earlier.
Yeah, left to me alone. And today we are being vindicated by the quality of forensic audits that are emanating or being churned out from that office or that institution or state institution. So you move on to see all of this and the decisive step President Mahama has taken to cancel all of these contracts. But again, that brings us to the point of this quality assurance or revenue assurance issues that we give to third-party corporations when we have state agencies. GRE in and of itself, if you can't embark on a simple, revenue assurance, why do you exist as a state agency or a state institution? Because you have trained personnel, right? You should have even had a whole department. If you don't, maybe they do, I don't know, on quality or revenue assurance. Should we need to be giving this to third parties? Value for money. I mean, OSP will say, let's not even go there, right? The amounts of monies we pay or the percentages they take. Mind you, I think their predecessor is it West
Blue.
Is it West Blue? Mm-hmm. Yeah, West Blue was probably involved in this. You could see how West Blue made a killing. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, even with ports revenue assurance issues. You juxtapose this to the amount that's spent because, look, they take it based on commission basis. And that's a lot of money. Imagine if that came to the state. Whereas you are employing officers, we are employing chartered accountants, we are employing, revenue assurance officers.
The president was rather swift in directing the termination.
Well,
was he waiting for this?
Well, I'm sure he's been properly briefed on what it is, and he was getting daily briefings on how it was going, and to say, okay, well, we had the...
But in contracts, there are obligations if you terminate in this manner.
Yeah, but I'm sure proper advice came from the Office of the Attorney General in how it should go about.
Okay, right. Yes, Richard.
Something. I struggle. Then there was the Attorney General, press conferences, indicting people, calling people names, almost supposing they have committed a crime. The special prosecutor on the same run. I worry, something. The due process is not a loophole for the corrupt or the lawbreaker. It's not. It's the foundation of justice. So when we we go out there and we aim at due process in the manner that we are, just simply because we want to fight corruption, which we all support. And so on the altar of that, we sacrifice all processes that must be accorded to the individual. Our Constitution provides for it. Article 19 says that you presume anybody innocent until proven guilty. But today, the due process is seen as a loophole. So we must abridge it, we must set it aside, and then go for, media trials. That's what we're seeing. But I believe it's not a loophole. It is the basis of our justice system. So we should grant it. Yes, you have a case. You have evidence and whatnot. Bring them, go to court. Why do we need to sit in a press conference for an hour and so many to listen to evidence that must be tested in court? The special prosecutor, we have seen him in many instances where he has yelled from the rooftops about people. They have done this, they have that. Is this still not the legal system that we have? Why hasn't he convicted anybody? We haven't seen that. But meanwhile, people's characters have been assassinated. Madam Cecilia Dapa lost her job because of that. He's going up and down because somebody's money here, money there. In the end, what happened? I want corruption to be fought, but let's do it according to the law. Isabel, like you said rightly, they have come back to say that all the things he said, they don't understand where it's coming from. They disagree. But he has convicted them. Okay, we are here supposing that they are corrupt people. Okay, I think that we should hasten slowly. Fourth Estate, I commend you, fantastic. What you're doing is a good investment, a good input. We should encourage more of that. This government, we have seen signs up and down. Please engage there. Let's point where there are corruption. Let's do it. It's a good job you're doing. I'm not any day.
So you can trust me on that.
No. I'm not any day going to undermine what they are doing.
No one.
But I'm just saying that we should allow the laws to work. The processes, in fact, I remember President Akufo-Addo, I think is that the first or second press encounter he had, where a question about prosecuting people from the previous administration, pressure here and there, why are we not seeing prosecution and all that? And he talked about due process being such an interesting thing that when you are at the receiving end, okay, you find it a comfort that it must be extended to you. So it's an essential component of our justice system. We must accord it to everyone and ensure that at the end of the day, everybody.
One of the accusations is actually that the special prosecutor has taken too long. They have delayed this, and they sat there and watched for Ken Ofori-Atta to even leave the country and start now running after him for extradition, all of that.
Yeah, but I'm sure you are not the one saying that. Those who are saying that are the hawks on the fringes, okay, from the NDC who are yelling up and down. I just told you about President Akufo-Addo's case, where people in our party were saying that let's see the people prosecuted. But then Akufo-Addo was minded to say that, look, we must do it according to law. I expect President Mahama to do the same. And I don't have any evidence to suggest that the president is interested in abridging people's rights. But the entities, their overzealousness and their desire to be seen on big screen, to be seen to be doing some work, is leading them
so what
to
you are saying
abridge
now,
people's rights.
And what you have said all along is circumspection in the press conferences that they hold.
Yes.
Before they charge.
Absolutely. The process, even that, you don't need that press conference. Go to court. The essence of their work is to recover, if any, of these assets and monies that they are mentioning. The essence is to bring those resources back to the state. We don't want to hear it. You hear about this oral thing where Domelevo, the former Auditor General, is saying that they receive a lot of garbage in the process. Okay? We are not interested in the garbage. We are interested in the substance. After the people have been convicted, then we know that we are getting this money back or the people are punished to serve as a deterrent for other people not to go in the same direction. So everything they are doing is formatting,
is optics. We are not interested in the optics. You didn't promise us optics. You promised us a certain deliverable. We are not seeing
what
that.
are the optics?
You are engaging in press conferences.
Let me take a minute's comment from
help us.
Dr. Osai Kwapong, because our time is up. I can see Sule about to put his hand up. Yes, Doc, I'm very sorry, but we have just about a minute to go. And I was mentioning that, like you said, just go to court and all this delay. It has taken, for 2024, this was going on. Why is it that Kenneth Foriata was not arrested and all of these? We have heard them suggest that when Kenneth Foriata was in power, they couldn't do this investigation the way they have done. They couldn't get all the support from the GRA and all the other places in the manner they have done now. What do you say?
So I share in the sentiment that you want to respect due process and you want to make sure that you're following all the legal processes and you're going to court and all of that. But I've regularly said, and I've even said this on your platform before, that the anti-corruption fight is also not just legal. There's a public aspect to it. And for me, whether it's the OSP's revelations or the revelations from the Attorney General, it is illustrating to us that we are at a crossroads where there's the need to take a look at our institutions and find ways to begin to restore some faith, trust, and confidence back in these institutions. Because regardless of the alleged crimes that have been committed or not, even when you look at some of the evidence that is being shared with the public, it gets you to ask yourself, what is it about the internal controls of our institutions that even allows some of these things to go through to the point where it becomes, a case of alleged, corruption or malfeasance in public office. And I think for me, that is what the public piece at least is doing for me, which is it is forcing us to really take a look at our institutions and say, there's something that is amiss that we need to start doing, even beyond the legal aspects of these cases.
Prof, forgive me, but I'm told that I have to close at this point. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Prince Henry Nkoforidia says that I think we should support the Attorney General to help bring state looters to book. I believe with our support, the Attorney General will deliver and Ghana will be better for all of us. Thank you. Dr. John Osai Kwapong is Democracy and Development Fellow, CDD Ghana. He's Executive Director, the Media Foundation for West Africa, who has the investigative project, that is the Fourth Estate. Richard Ahiagba is Director of Communications of the NPP. Dr. Sharif Mahmoud Khalid is Economic Advisor to the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. I'm Samson Ladia Yanini. Have a good afternoon.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valixlease.com or call 0244-644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valix Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Imagine a logistics partner that's more than just a partner, a complete ecosystem for Africa and beyond. Welcome to Magdan Shipping Company Limited. For over 2 decades, we have been the trusted name in shipping and logistics, building a reputation for excellence that's second to none. We offer a comprehensive suite of services to meet